Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Risen Champions League. We're back after a week on the desk, Gopherino, and we have got ourselves a collegiate showdown between ISU Varsity and UBC Premier. My name's Gordo. I am joined, as always, by Gopherino. And Gopherino, how are you doing this evening?
A little sleepy, a little sleepy. Hopefully this will wake me up. It's been a long day of doing nothing. A lot of a lot of flex queue with the buddies. However, though, this should be an interesting one. It is our second to last week of the regular season here, so you do want to end on a good foot here. Top three teams are going to playoffs here, and both these teams, being at 2-1, are roughly in that middle of the pack situation where if they win today, they're in a very favorable spot. But if they lose, then things are much more rocky and a little out of their hands.
Absolutely. We got a four-way tie up at the top of Group A right now. Gentle Arts Gaming, CCG Futures, ISU Varsity, and UBC Premier all sitting in that 2-1 bracket. UBC maybe a little bit thankful at this stage that they have been gifted a win up against CCG Futures due to a forfeit in last week. And that's going to put them in a really unique position when it starts getting to be time for tiebreakers, when determining, out of this group, which three teams are going to end up making playoffs. As I do think, it's only three teams per group that do end up making it to that playoff stage, because that's a critical tiebreaker that very few teams, if any, are going to be able to say they actually have in their favor. Gentle Hearts Gaming, the other big favorite in this group, already dropped their match up against the side of CCG Futures, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was our week 2 featured match. So gonna be really tough for anybody else to take them down, and that's gonna be a trait that UBC really look to capitalize on in their matchup today up against ISU.
Yeah. They're gonna need to take home the dub here. I don't know what everybody else's predictions were. I was leaning a little towards ISU Varsity myself here. Wasn't too strong either way, though, I will admit.
Yeah, let's check it out right now. You know what? We're going to be getting into draft here in just a couple of seconds. Check out what our broadcast crew has been predicting on the night, and it's
My.
ISU across the board. Figure I should speak out the full names here, as some folks may not be familiar with all the collegiate teams we've got here. This is Iowa State University, by the way.
This is
While amateur
Iowa?
fans may be familiar with the Illinois State University ISU team, this one is Iowa. Gaming and esports is what that G and E is for, as Slayer and I have found in our research. So they're coming in here. They're up against University of British Columbia Premier. So some friends from up north coming to join us here in the Risen Esports Champions League.
Yeah. Although I wonder, because we did have ISU last week, I wonder if Slayer and Bonfire changed their prediction.
That's a good question.
Because I think they also said 2-0 for ISU last week.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I'm pretty confident Slayer did. He's usually on top of that stuff. Bonfire will leave up the questions, though. There's definitely plenty of room for error in there.
Yeah, Slayer did say they were busy with something today, though. I think they're casting some CS:GO.
True. I think they're casting CS:GO somewhere, but they've known this would be the matchup all week, so no excuses. No excuses. They're committing to these. So if it's a 2-1 record, we're gonna take our points, and we're not gonna give them any chance to crawl anything back.
I mean, you say it's been a full week, but I know damn well I always wait until like the day before or the day of to make my prediction.
That's same, but that's just because I'm doing my due diligence, and if I'm busy, I'm doing it in advance. All right, that's happened before. It'll happen again. What might happen again here is another ISU win on stream. They had a close 3-game series up against Gravity last week. We were all here for it, checking out how that matchup was going to go. And what really swung it at the end was Pico's Fizz coming through as a pocket pick at the end. I know Slayer featured that on his Amateur Plays of the Week video. Check that out on his Twitter if you haven't. Been really cool to see what he's been able to pull out. This guy's got a deep champion pool, has played... What do we got? We got Fizz, Nico, Ari, Lissandra, Azir, Victor on stage just through for 3 weeks, drawing bans on stuff like the LeBlanc, the Galio, the Syndra while he's at it. That's a lot of champions for having just played around 7-ish games.
Yeah, and also kind of crazy, some of those champions did get buffed here, like the Galio, like the Syndra. We haven't seen more Syndra, I believe, pop up in Pro, even though it is a bit of a break. I swear I've been seeing more Syndra from the pro players coming out, so I wouldn't be surprised if that hits the board here against them tonight.
Yeah, for sure. It's that Syndra, that Oriana, those ones really started to rise up in priority. And I want to highlight this top lane matchup. Tortwig from ISU Varsity taking on Trophy Troop from UBC Premier. Both of these top laners have been big focuses of these teams in pick and bans. We got some pocket picks that have been huge priorities for Tortwig. It's been the Gangplank and the Gragas. Gangplank sitting at 100% pick ban for ISU. Gragas all but one. So do the math there, divide 6 by 7. Whatever that ends up adding up to is how many games Gragas has been present for Tortwig. And for Trophy Troop, it's been the Olaf. 4 bans up against him in 4 games played. Again, those 2 games up against CCG Futures didn't end up happening. So that's the whole kit and caboodle for him. They haven't played a single game with Olaf enabled, been banned against him every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Olaf, if the enemy top player even remotely plays it, you kind of have to take it off the board here. Just been seeing like all year long, it feels like that Olaf in the top lane can just garner the leads in the 1v1 so easily and snowball so hard. And that's usually a pretty huge issue when it comes to these 5v5s because next thing you know, that the Olaf's just barreling down towards you. That's a bit of a no bueno.
Definitely the case as we are looking to start off draft here in just a
Hey,
couple of seconds, and see some teams starting to ready up, but we might have a little bit more of a ways to go. Let's check out the bot lanes while we're chatting team by team. Motelis over in ISU Varsity, despite being 7 games in, has shown us 2 champions so far. And I mean, if it isn't broken, no reason to fix it. They've been having a pretty good record thus far, dropping games. 1 game to Gravity in a series that they won in both games, 2 CCG Futures, but only rocking the Xayah and Ashe the whole way through. Drew
right.
1 Ashe ban over the course of that journey, but been those champs the whole way through. Meanwhile, over on the side of UBC, Slurps has shown us a few others, but has also been a big Ashe player, 100% presence on that pick for Slurps. Played it twice, had it banned against them twice.
Yeah. I mean, we've just been seeing more and more Ashe kind of creep up here, especially with the meta ADCs getting nerfs. I mean, Kaisa got nerfed, Xayah got nerfed, Zeri got nerfed. So bringing out that Ashe, who was already a little bit of a fringe pick, kind of surprised we aren't really seeing too much Varus in these players' pools right now when it comes to these picks on the stage. Another great utility marksman in that bot lane, who does rock the bow technically.
Yeah, the other
And
pick I want to keep my eyes on, I haven't gotten to see it very much in Risen Champs at all. It has started to get its creeping tendrils into the Aegis Champions League, and I'm sure we're going to start seeing it at Worlds, is the Senna. The Senna's overbuffed. It's broken again. We're
hey, let's
back,
go.
baby. It's Senna gaming time. The champion's just a little bit too strong again, and that means we're going to start to see a lot of the usage of it. I know people get sick of that pick before too long, and that's definitely going to be the case this time as well, but there's a lot of new pairings with it that people have been bringing out. The Tom Kench, he hasn't come up alongside his good friend Senna as they traditionally have, and we've gotten to see some interesting selections alongside it. Seen some Yasuo Senna. We got to see a Nyla Senna lane on the ACL stream just last Friday. I'd love to see some selections for that champion start to come on through.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty flexible because just due to the fact that you can go the fasting playstyle, you can go the farming playstyle, or you can just go the full-on support playstyle. The champion is very flexible, and if it's in a powerful spot, power level, like you can just go any one of those 3 pretty damn easily, and we'll see if there's any prio on that here in the champions like tonight.
Definitely a big selection as well. Not something we've gotten to see out of either of these supports yet, but the longer we go on these patches, the more these kind of picks are going to start to creep into people's minds, and the more we're going to start to see some of those options. We already talked about the depth of Pico's champion pool for ISU. Over on the side of UBC, I'm going to say Ochre. OCHRE. We're gonna workshop that over the course of tonight.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna say Ochre for tonight. If any UBC fans in Twitch chat want to correct me, that'll eventually find its way over to my ears, and I will pronounce it how you tell me to for the rest of the night. But they've been showing a few different good picks as well. They've gotten that one Jace game in that looked really good up against Gravity, and then been Jace bans across the rest of the board. So 100% presence on that pick as well. While I'm going on through the list, the Jace may be something to take a look at for Ochre on UBC, and very likely something that Trophy Troop is willing to bring out as well.
I mean, just been a pretty general pickup in that top lane, that Jace. Can't really go too wrong with it. Has been relatively smooth sailing the entire season, I believe, on that champion. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this come out for either of these top laners here early tonight, Gordo.
Yeah, for sure. A big pick, one that's both in its flexibility between mid and top, and just in the state that it's currently in the meta. It takes so long for that pick to fall off these days. It does still hit a wall eventually, but it's like 5 items, 6 items. It's not like it used to be, where it's like you got to win the game in 15 minutes. As long as if you stay ahead, if you stay strong, that Jace is going to be plenty influential throughout the vast majority of most League of Legends games. You got to get real deep in there before it really starts to feel like you're not doing the damage that you used to do. We already talked about how some of these poke-centric ADs are really starting to come on up there. There's been a fair bit of Ezreal getting played. The Ashe gonna fit that bill as well while we're at it. You can see that paired up with always going to be front lines coming out of the jungle. It's kind of a Jarvan, Maokai, Sejuani meta that we find ourselves in. I'm sure the junglers are sick of that, but they've had their moments, and we've gotten to see some other selections as well. I do want to highlight XRM Zero going in for some Wukong games last week for ISU. That pick, it got a little bit buffed again pretty recently. Got a little bit more mana regen in that jungle, and come on, guys, this was pick and ban very, very recently. It hasn't been nerfed that hard. There's definitely some room for some Wukong in the meta.
Speaking of jungle, the Bel'Veth has been banned here. That pick is kind of considered broken right now. I believe she got some nerfs in the previous patch, or that's lined up for the patch here. So another one, the Jungle Titan is taken off the board right now. Unsurprisingly, the Olaf has been banned already, and the Gangplank has been banned already. So these two top players not going to be able to get their favorite champions here. Kind of expected. No real surprise, to say the least, on that.
Yeah, Bel'Veth, another pick. You kind of have, for my experience, it's been junglers being segmented, especially at the highest level of play, between the Bel'Veth players and the non-Bel'Veth players. Some people are willing to pick it into any matchup, and you need to ban it against them. Some people don't play it at all. So far, I would have thought that XRM Zero was in the latter camp, but drawing that Bel'Veth ban nonetheless, maybe started to pick it up in recent weeks. Have yet to see it picked or banned against Zero in the Risen Champions League in particular. There's the Nico Pico ban coming through as well, the Akali ban for the side of ISU going to match it, and now one more before we start to see our very first champion selected for the Rift. It is going to be the Rel ban. That's been one that gets banned against T-Tizzle a whole bunch, but this time it's going to be Shun Shun who does not get access to it.
Yeah, the Rel's still pretty strong right now. One of the only two real general non-target bans on the board right now. It and the Bel'Veth. I mean, I guess you could argue the Olaf is a generalish ban. However, though, the priority is going to be on that Rakan. Rakan definitely in the top tier echelons of support right now after a couple of the others got nerfed down a little and is generally doing pretty damn good. I don't think we're going to see the Shaker locked in here. Yeah,
Don't get
Zaya,
clowned on, Gofurino. Never buy into the hovers.
Yeah, never buy into the hovers. I don't know. I'm just a little tilted because I have a friend. I think they're watching stream right now. They want Shaco support and they're kind of just trolling me in flex queue. So
Shaco
bring back
support.
some bad memories.
Shaco support a little bit of an NAAM meme in its own right these days. So gotta respect the highlight when it does end up coming on through. The Zaya Rakan duo gonna get broken up. ISU snagging that one away for themselves. That's gonna go into the hands of Motellus. We will not see a breakaway from the Zaya Ashe streak for Motellus, at least in this game number 1. That's gonna get paired up with the Nautilus, a new pick for T-Tizzle to face off against the Rakan. Love to see that interruptibility coming through when you know you're going to be facing down the Rakan in the bottom lane, but that's some real reliable engage that UBC have gotten for themselves. Time for them to start dipping their fingers into some carries, looking at that Ezreal to potentially lean into a poke comp. You can pair that up with that Jace for Ochre. I would love to see that on 2-3 here for UBC.
That would be very strong poke. It also means that this Rakan very easily going to be able to roam in this game because Ezreal, it is so easy to buffer the Nautilus hooks with your Arcane Shift. So you're basically always safe if you're by turn. You know, if you overextend, then that's a little bit of a Pepega. But I don't think we'll be seeing too much of that. We'll see what the B3 lock-in is here. I'm leaning a little towards maybe a jungler here to lock that on in. Maokai being hovered, most likely going to be a jungler, although we have been seeing a little bit more Maokai top recently.
Right, yeah, I would assume it's going to be in the jungle. It's where I've seen the vast majority of it, and pretty safe as a blind over there. You could trade it now for a Jarvan or a Sejuani. My understanding was that Jarvan was kind of the top of the pecking order for most teams. I would expect to see a Jarvan come through. It's gotten a
Hmm.
little nerfed on the patch, if I'm not mistaken, but still seen plenty of prio over there. Instead, it's going to be the Kindred locked in here for 0. Maybe a little bit more carry opportunity coming out of the jungle there, breaking free of that tank-focused jungle meta that we've been stuck on for so long now.
Yeah, and with double marksman here, ISU, they already have a really strong just backline threat sort of comp here. Zaya scales pretty well. The Kindred obviously scales pretty well once you get the marks under your belt and even some items as well. And you already got the Nautilus to keep some support, keep some engage on in there. So I'm kind of expecting for the last two red picks here, we see a very standard mage in the mid lane and maybe a little bit more of a utility slash tank in the top lane. We could see a bruiser here. It could be a very aggressive like ISU angle, but I'm thinking they might be looking to kind of just play around their backline this game with the fact that they have the Kindred Zyre here.
Absolutely. It's now getting through some of these solo lane focused bans. Love to see that Fizz from Pico is getting the respect it deserves after a solid performance on it last week. They're going to make sure that that one's not going to end up coming through, especially when ISU has access to the R5 counter pick. Aatrox's going to be the ban away now. Tortwig trying to guarantee himself a bit safer of a matchup. And his second of those perma-ban picks going to get taken off the board. Gangplank and Gragas have been huge for Tortwig all season so far. And UBC are going to make sure that those picks do not end up in his hands. Now, going to be up to ISU to blind pick one of these solo lanes. Will it be one of these kind of tankier selections for Tortwig? He's been more of a split push guy in his own right so far. Instead, it's going to be Lissandra for Pico, pick that they've gotten their hands on once up against Costa Gamer Squad and had a couple of bans thrown their way as well.
Alessandro definitely going to be helping peel for this backline even more. You have the Glacial Prison, and nothing else much more to say about that. That's great lockdown. It'll help the Kindred get marks, help the Nautilus just keep people locked down even more. The Silas being hovered, though, would be pretty strong into this Lissandra because realistically speaking, the Lissandra is not going to have too much kill threat against you. And you already have some great ultimates to seal away here. So you got a great scaling side lane threat here that should have a pretty nice lane matchup. Great pick by UBC.
Absolutely, yeah. Those Lissandra buffs, they help Silas as well because they were primarily focused on the healing that you get off of the Frozen Tomb. It's the minimum AP ratio for the heal got buffed a lot, like more than doubled. And I also think the amount of based on missing health you get went up pretty substantially. That's all going to carry over for your buddy Silas as well, who's already kind of in that sort of jump in, heal back up, sustain through it play style. I think he's going to appreciate those buffs a whole bunch. Now Jack's going to be the selection blind for UBC. See exactly what Tortwig wants to do. Tortwig not been much of a tank guy most of the season, has usually been willing to go for these split pushing duelist matchups. Do they want something like a Fiora, or will they opt for something like the Poppy instead? Those would be what I'd expect. And that
Mm.
Fiora going to get hovered and locked on in. We're going to get a brawl in the side lanes.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a very skirmish heavy top lane here, and it doesn't help that both the mid laners can roam up there pretty easily and lock down the other top laner. Then there's also Maokai in the mix, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see some ganks against this Fiora early on. Put that champion on the back foot here, Gordo, but ISU, with the Fiora lock-in, it kind of means their comp is really just looking for the split push angle here, because when you lock in Fiora, it kind of just dictates, like, all right, we're going to have a split push angle this game.
It definitely does, and I think they've drafted a pretty good comp for it all in all. They've got the Kindred, who's going to be able to dance around, going to have a lot of low cooldown Dance of Arrows available, and going to be able to save some allies with the Lamb's Respite as needed. Zaya, always great at peeling back away. Nautilus in that camp as well. And then the Lissandra with the Ice Claw to get on out of there while they're at it. They are pretty well equipped, I think, to stall, to disengage, and to buy time for this Fiora. But you're going to have to see a little bit of an appearance from Zero coming in on the side lane to make sure they're going to be selecting and set up to be winning in that side lane, as the Jacks can get ahead and can start winning that matchup just as well.
Yeah, I mean, Trophy Troop as this Jax can also be quite the monster, and typically has much more of a team fight presence just due to the fact that you can enter that defensive stance with your counter strike and get those huge stuns on off. You get a lot of tankiness with the Grandmaster's Might. ultimate as well if you're able to get enough people hit with it. So we'll see, because it's definitely going to be brawl in this top lane, as we kind of alluded to, and I wouldn't be too surprised if junglers pay a little bit of extra focus up there to get their respective laner ahead. Um, Unless if one of these laners comes out on top in the 1v1.
Yeah, definitely. And seeing now as we transition that there are a couple of substitutions coming through for each side. Riddy going to be in at jungle for ISU over Zero, and Ansat coming in at mid for UBC over Ochre. So going to be one difference from their usual starting rosters a piece, one at mid, one at jungle. We'll see how that affects their ability to perform coming into the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be something we'll definitely have to keep our eye on, as the last lock-in incline is wrapping up right now. As hold on, what is that? Tizzle. Okay, I wanted to make sure. Tizzle gonna lock in their Nautilus here, and you know where everyone's going. Not like there's too much surprise.
Definitely the case here as ticking on down before we're going to get to start to see some of those runes and masteries come on through. But let's talk about how you get the fight started if you're the blue side on this draft. If you're a UBC Premier, how do you pin down this kind of selection that they've gone for while Tortwig is playing in the side lanes? You'd love to have Trophy Troop able to win out in the one-on-one, but if that's not happening, you got some tools to force fights, right? You've got your Rakan, you've got your Maokai. How do you want to set up for these objectives, Gofrino, to make sure you're going to be able to find the fights you're looking for?
Uh, I mean, you could just definitely look for the full-on 4v4s or 5v5s with this UBC comp. Ezreal great at team fighting. I mean, your whole comp is great at team fighting, realistically speaking here. So if you're not behind in the grand scheme of things, you can go for these fights here. The biggest issue will be if you are behind, or if that Zaya has scaled up and is just way too safe to hop on top of, or if that Kindred is just way too damn big and pops that Lamb's Respite. That's going to be a pretty huge issue too. Um, but I mean, honestly, kind of a little bit of an all-arounder comp from UBC when it comes to the fighting here, because you got some siege, you got a little bit of poke, got some pretty solid team fighting, and you got some pretty decent split pushing as well. Can't really go too wrong with this salad of a team comp they got.
Are definitely going to be putting a lot of eggs in the Tortwig basket, as they tend to do, but that has not led them astray too often so far in this Risen Champs season. So we really are kind of racing through this regular season here, Gofrino. It's this week, it's next week, and then we're done with regular season and already starting to see towards playoffs. So zipping right through there in week number 4 already. These teams are really posturing to try to make it their way up. If you get up to 3-1 with a win here, it's going to be very difficult to end up missing top 3, as the worst you can finish is 3-2.
Yeah, it should be practically guaranteed. I can't really think of a situation, especially with the massive, just like, was it 4-way tie, 5-way tie for first with all those people at 2-1? I think it's a 4-way tie.
Mm-hmm.
So win here kind of practically guarantees it. It's just a matter of seeding, and
Yeah,
we'll see who comes out on top in that case. But for the loser, it's going to be a much different story, because you will be 2-2. You definitely will have a shot if you win your game next week, but it
it's
might
going
be
to
a
get
little
tough.
out of your hands if there's tiebreaker rules involved.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it would lock it for ISU, because ISU's already beaten the Kosa Gamer squad. That is not the case for UBC, so I think a win here for UBC doesn't necessarily lock them. Kosa Gamers can still come back and end up 3-2, and then that'll be based on that tiebreaker, depending on how next week's matchup ends up going. So if Kosa Gamers, I think Kosa Gamers will play UBC in the final week based on how the math works out. Yep. If Kosa Gamers wins that and everything else works out as needed, you could end up in a tiebreaker situation there that you end up losing as UBC. So UBC got a little bit of a tougher path forward, but you definitely want to start it off with a win here over ISU Varsity. You see that press the attack coming on through for the Ezreal, maybe looking for a little bit more early trading power over something like the Conqueror and the Guardian for the Rakan. They're playing as safe as they can in this bottom lane, and it's going to be really tough to lock down an Ezreal-Rakan duo.
Yeah, like, Rakan is like the engaged support that also has like a lot of get out safely tools, since you're able to just grand entrance on out. You have the shield to dash on out as well, so able to be very slippery here unless you lock him down. Then Shinchin will have some pretty huge issues, because you are a little bit more on the squishy side, and there is Ignite here on Tizzle's Nautilus, so have to be a little bit careful here. But Ezreal for Slurps should be basically 100% safe, I want to say.
Yeah, never want to say 100% because these guys, you can get a little excited in your Risen Champs League games and maybe end up giving a little something you shouldn't. So we are in the game, but we've got ourselves a pause. So going to be a little bit more time until we can get out of the League of Legends action. That's just how it is, though. You know, it's 25 minutes after start time. We had another Risen stream live before this. Shout out to anybody who's going for the full day Risen experience and has been hanging out all the way since the Dominate match earlier on. We are looking to get ready to start here in just a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and the best thing is, this is some of the first competitive games on the Worlds patch, so we're getting a preview for Worlds here. I think that's up in a week here. I believe that starts next weekend.
If it does, it must actually. We're already in October. It's World season.
I know it starts
We're starting later than usual this year for sure.
Yeah, it was for the schools, and then also Worlds was delayed because of the Asian games. But hey, we get a preview for the Worlds beta here.
Definitely the case. I hear tons of League of Legends sounds in the background, so we are ready to get onto the Rift for game number 1 in our collegiate showdown here for the Risen Champions League. Iowa State University Varsity taking on University of British Columbia Premier. We're kicking it off out of the Rift right now.
Hey, there we are.
We've done it. We've made it to game time. It only took us around 27-ish minutes to get through draft to get onto the Rift for game number 1. That's not too bad, all things considered. Substitutes coming through for both sides, and like both teams are ready to get going here. Pretty basic spread out coming on across. It does look like Shin has lurked their way down into that bottom brush, but they're just going to recall from there. They just wanted to see what was going on and throw down a ward over by the Dragon Pit.
Throw down a ward, back for an immediate sweeper here. He's going to make the bot lane a little bit more vulnerable in terms of just not having as much vision. But hey, let's go for more aggressive plays here. Oh, Trophy Troop. Did not level the W. If you level the W there as Jax, I mean, it's very easy to get the word.
Definitely. Ansat gonna dump on in and get themselves a little bit of early damage, but Pico's got that electrocute, so Pico's going to trade the damage pretty evenly. Delayed invade coming on through here from T-Tizzle. They're gonna lock down Shin, who jumps back over the wall. Going to have to start that grand entrance as a result, and probably going to have to donate away this red buff, but Chorps and Slurps look like they're not done. Damage coming in over the wall. The ward thrown down as well. Riddy takes a little bit of a mystic shot there. Here's the engage from Chorps, already level 2. Riddy gets the ignite on top of him, and first blood gets picked up by Shin. Now T-Tizzle's low. He's going to be the next target getting focused, and ISU are going to try to get out of there, but no, they turn it back around looking for a fight, but T-Tizzle, he's got to heal, he's got to flash, he's got to use everything at his disposal to get out of there with his life, and now Motellus with this stacked up Ezreal passive, tons of damage coming through. Slurps finishes him off. Motellus able to trade one back, but now no flash, no heal, and Slurps with a massive HP advantage.
What a level 1 coming through here, Gordo. 2-1 in the kills. First blood is going over to UBC, though. Oh my god, and we missed a bloody mess up top as well, but no one does die here up top. But a kill piece to the bot lane here on UBC. Gonna feel very nice when we see Slurps already hitting level 2 with that extra prow they got on the wave just due to their health, and Motel's going to be dropping on down here. Their biggest crime was just wanting to get some farm here, but they were also like 200 health after that whole level 1 fiasco.
Yeah, just greeding for a little too much there. You lost the level 1, you lost it hard, you had no support, you used every summoner spell, and Slurps is going to slurp up the rewards, gets themselves a 2-0-1 Ezreal with a huge CS lead.
So what they get on the back here, because if you want to, with that money, that is enough to go back and get an early tier here. With the CS as well, you might have enough to get a longsword or boots. Either or. Or you could just back and get a Sheen and hold the tier for a little bit later. That'd be very lane dominant sort of angle, but hasn't back just quite yet. Is only 17 CS, so wouldn't have the most pricey of backs here. And when the dust settles, this is a very dominant bot lane right now.
Absolutely, as level 1 push coming on through here in the mid lane. They are going to successfully crash the wave and get a reset for Pico. Moving on down towards the bottom lane is T-Tizzle hovering around, getting the vision down, and just trying to salvage what they can in this bottom lane. At least has been able to take up to level 3. Motel is still stuck at that level 2 mark. And going to have to be very careful about some kind of all-in coming through from the Rakan, especially once Ezreal gets a chance to spend. Slurp's not quite going to be as high HP as, as high gold as they would like to be, as they haven't got to spend yet. But once they get to spend, it's going to be a huge problem. Pico takes a rough trade in mid lane up against Ansat. Torps coming on in to try to disrupt as well.
Definitely a little expected in the mid lane. Silas has a favorable matchup into the Lissandra. It's not Giga Doom for the Lissandra, however. You don't really have the damage to get through the Silas, who has an actually very high magic resist growth. And also has the Kingslayer, which gives a bunch of healing there. So you just kind of absorb a lot of the damage Pico throws it back your way. And yeah, things are going fine and dandy. Tortwig not having a fine and dandy time, though.
For sure. Moving on up into the top side. Pretty close in the CS department earlier on here. Just got to feel good. Tortwig's got to take a little bit of time to scale up. Trophy Troop in a similar case goes in, gets one of those weak points, but Trophy Troop with a nicely cast. Oh, wow. I thought the counter-strike was going to do it, but the counter riposte, well played by Tortwig, ends up picking themselves up a kill in the top lane.
Yeah, Tortwig kind of gets away with murder in that one here, Gordo, because that Fiora was taking the brunt of those trades the entire laning phase, stuck under turret, but now you're able to get that kill in the 1v1, and you're up 2 entire waves on your opponent. We have Torps hovering here in the mid lane, waiting for something. Ooh, gonna miss the Ipsan.
Pico's not out of the woods quite yet. Trying to get back over to Riddy as a fight might be breaking out in the bottom lane. Nice dredge line onto Slurps, who's already used the arcane shift. Now gonna get chased down, taking a few more autos. Flash backward, walking back in. Slurps, what are you doing, man? As Motel is gonna be able to pick up the shutdown. Fight breaking out in the top side now. Pico going to throw down that ultimate, has to flash back over the wall, but that's gonna leave Riddy out to dry. Shin finishing off that kill. It's a 1-for-1 cross map.
Yeah, what happened bot lane is Slurps failed their flash over the wall. Oh, and that's pretty damn big because now the Xayah is also 2-on-1 and got that shutdown. So it's now the Xayah that should be ahead in this 2v2 lane down bot.
Huge swings back and forth here to get back over to the Tortwig kill, but no, never mind, actually. No time to talk about top lane. T-Tizzle's finding Chorps in the river. Motella stepping forward. Double root comes through. The damage being pumped into the Maokai. They know that there's no threat from this Rakan. T-Tizzle going to chow down on some fruit to get back up in HP, and this river belongs to ISU.
Oh, wait. Okay, yeah, it does.
Going on Ready, another dredge line. They're going in on a Slurp. He's still got no summoners. He goes down again. Motellus with another kill, and Chorps is the next target. Chorps going to fall for a double. This could be a triple with Shin on the wrong side of dodge, giving it over to Riddy instead. And Sat manages to clean up T-Tizzle on the other side, but this is a big win for ISU in the river. Another clutch dredge line found by T-Tizzle as the top laners are brawling at it again. Grand challenge thrown down. Tortwig looking for a solo kill, finds it again, and gets the flash while he's there. Everything comes up ISU.
2-0 in this top lane is this Fiora here for Tortwig, and now you just got 4 kills on your Xayah. ISU, I mean, it was a really disastrous level 1, but these past few minutes, they've really just turned the game on its head and brought it back, because it was 3-1 around level 2, and now it's 5-7. So in the past couple of minutes, it's been 2-6 in kills in favor of ISU, and they got to be happy about that, unlike Caddy, who's probably a little sad about the gold not working there.
Yeah, maybe just hoping, if you're on UBC's side, don't show anybody the gold. Don't show us what it looks like right now. We're going to try to turn this one around. It's still less than a 1k gold disadvantage, despite how poorly things have been going for the last several minutes. Finally, we get it over there, and it's a 600 gold league over to Motellus now, and I'm gonna be honest, that could be a lot worse. Between the shutdown gold that ended up going over and the fact that the CS has been equalized, lucky they haven't turned it into more plates.
Yeah. Yeah, only picking up the one plate so far from that. It's still pretty early. Ooh, I thought that hook was gonna hit, but very slick on the shrooms there for the UBC bot lane, and things have finally calmed down just a little bit here on the Rift Gordo. We've kind of been mentioning these really impressive score lines right now on some big faces of the ISU side. Good hook.
There's another one from T-Tizzle, this time followed up by that depth charge. Gonna knock up Shin over on the other side. Is able to dash out to safety in time, but wow, does that highlight the level disadvantage for Shin here. T-Tizzle already level 6, Shin just ticking over to 5 right off the back of that play.
Yeah, they're level 4 during that engage, which, like, as support, it is hard to catch up in EXP because obviously you don't farm, you're typically very roam bound, so you're mostly looking to kind of pick up some shared EXP from someone else farming wave, which isn't really the most amount of XP you can get, or from getting kills and assists, which isn't always the easiest when you're behind. That's a great hook. This could be a
Slurps
kill.
again, just caught by these dredge lines over and over. Flash forward from Motelis. Nice knock up from Shin, but not going to be enough to stop another kill from going down. T-Tizzle ends up with that one.
Oh, another vital proc here.
Trophy Troop going to get out of this one alive, but not without being forced to recall. Trophy Troop, don't do it, my guy. You're not going to be able to farm this wave. It's doomed.
Yeah, you don't take these, dog.
I think Pico can land a Q here. Yeah, Ansat not going to be able to complete the recall, but will be able to farm up the wave.
A little bit of a flank coming out here from Riddy. We'll see if they commit to this.
Just barely shorting it. Oh, but the auto, not going to be enough. Following it across the map. Lands. Will get Ansat a little bit lower than they would be otherwise, but they do manage to escape with their life. Tortwig now looking at Trophy Troop. Chorps is here for the backup, though, and Tortwig is just going to have to give this one up. Trophy Troop does end up being able to clean up this wave, so he comes up with what he was hoping for when all is said and done. Just needs Chorps' help to be able to do it.
Yeah, that wave was pretty damn huge there. Could have another gang shaping up the mid side 1v1.
Yeah, full all in onto Pico there. Ansat steals away the Frozen Tomb and just one-shots him. Pico doesn't have access to the ult themselves to come back, and that means that's going to be an easy clean up off the back of the items Ansat was able to pick up. ISU's not done yet, though. They're going to keep stealing away camps while they can. They have a feeling, if not proof, that Maokai's topside. And Tortwig looking for the solo kill, just finds it. A beautiful stun off the riposte means this is an easy cleanup for Tortwig.
And the riposte is kind of what makes or breaks a lot of this matchup on the Fiora versus Jax, because if you're able to riposte the Counter-Strike, it is cash money for you, but if you cannot riposte the Counter-Strike, then that is not very good. The hook does miss. You do have the death charge here that is going to come out. The follow-up hook, the flash, though.
Oh, the follow-up with everything. Flashing in for the full combo from T-Tizzle. Shin burning down, but no ignite means that they will manage to eke out a barely surviving play. But now 280 carry is going to be hammering away at your turret. This is going to be 2 plates easy peasy, unless a teleport comes on through. This is Trophy Troop to bail them out, abandoning the top side to guarantee that not more plates are going to go on over to Motelis.
Oh, yeah, that kind of sucks because now Trophy Troop, that's just kind of a bail your homies out teleport there. You're not really going to get too much for it here. Maybe you get some vision in the enemy side. I'll hold that thought because aggression's still here. Hook misses.
Line doesn't connect. T-Tizzle maybe up a little bit farther than he bargained for here. Riddy gonna have to throw down the ultimate to save them both. Now Motelis throwing down the feathers, gonna have a big pullback here before too long. What can they claim back? Chorps falls down. Next target is Slurps. He's going to drop as well off the back of the snare. A double kill over to Motelis as Tortwig dives underneath the turret to finish off one more. Trophy Troop is here, but he's only here to take damage and back away. Nothing to be reclaimed from the other side of this fight. ISU come up 3 for 2.
It might be even more here. I mean, Tortwig stuck under turret, pops the Counter-Strike, doesn't get the stun. And
my
that's
guy.
4 for 2. The turret just doing 0 damage here to these 2 members, and they're getting all these plates and first turret.
And he flashes again, just going down in these one-on-ones, expending the flash, trying to dodge out at the last second for the last auto, but the timing's just the faintest bit off. So unfortunate for Trophy Troop there as they go down for the 4th time to Tortwig.
And now things are definitely falling apart a little bit here because it's 4,000 gold separating these two teams. And that's gonna be a rough one to start coming back from because we don't even have we don't even have objective bounties up yet. Ooh,
Getting that territory. Yep,
there it
available
is.
soon. There's the call out. And
Yeah.
just in time with a Rift Herald thrown into the bot lane, maybe going to be able to, at the very least, do some damage to the turret. The plates are gone, though. So no plate gold to be found for Ol Slurps in the bottom
Ooh,
lane.
okay.
Shin Shin
Quick,
forcing
let's-
an engage, finding T-Tizzle, finding themselves another target as well. Motella's gonna get melted down. No chance for a response. No Featherstorm or Flash available. UBC get themselves a nice pick, now 5 members strong to start off the Dragon.
Yep. See if that guarantees them the dragon here. It is the Chemtech dragon. We have Tizzle sitting on the side, and the rest of the ISU members coming. They can comfortably give this, and that looks like what they are going to be doing. Objective bounty has been claimed for the side of UBC, and they're going to be happy about that here. With how this game has been going, you get a nice little shutdown off that pick. You get yourself a dragon here. Get yourself some extra stats to come back in this game.
Alright, plate gold looking to be accurate today. That's good stuff all in all, and you can see how much of that lead has been built up through that for the side of ISU. Moving on over, looking to steal away a red buff. Multiple members, Tortwig included, who's just decided to plant their flag on this side of the map because they were already winning. We do not have to play your standard lane matchups. We can overload this side and take everything you have. Pico moving on over to that side. There's going to be another depth charge coming on through right on top of Slurps, and they go down again. Bot lane for UBC forced out of the mid and going to have to sacrifice their turret once again as Pico brawling up with Ansat up on the top side. A nice snare found underneath the turret, the follow-up stun. Ansat will manage to get out in time to not take more turret shots, and he's not giving this one up yet. Level 11 steals away the Frozen Tomb. Pico has to flash away. Now coming back up as Reddy is looking to join up on the fray. Just wants to make sure they don't accidentally give on up the kill. There's going to be the abscond and abduct. There's the ultimate, and Ansat goes on a killing spree.
Teleport.
Desperate to get something back in this game. Trying to teleport away. Reddy can't deal the damage in time. Ansat gets away with murder.
Ansat just greeting on them. The quickness coming out. Will they be able to get this shut down?
Oh, multiple stuns across from Tortwig. A heal back from the Gore Drinker. Huge, but not enough to turn around the 1 versus 4. Shutdown gold going over to Trophy Troop. His first of the game, and it's a big one.
Yep, UBC able to narrow this gold deficit back on down to just under 2k. With those plays they made, they're able to get a kill in the top lane. They're able to get that huge shutdown in the bot lane as well. Will cost them the Rift Herald here, but they gotta be mighty fine and dandy. Mighty happy about how that shaped.
Absolutely. Stepping forward now, back into the mid lane. Slurps still just trying to hold their ground, trying to keep control. This is a bot lane that was drafted to be safe in the early game, and at 17 minutes, they've got themselves 8 deaths. Slurps and Shin Shin going to need to find ways to keep clearing waves, to keep getting farm into this Ezreal, but to do it safer, as they've just given up so much to T-Tizzle's engages in particular.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if UBC can continue this magic that they have been rekindling here. To get those picks here across the map. No shutdowns left on the side of ISU, just due to the fact they got 2 members with the big shutdowns on their heads. That's definitely what helped narrow a lot of this goal differential. Shin is going to ward here and dash on out. Prepping a little bit for the dragon in 2 minutes potentially, but also so you have some vision on this river, because that is their only ward in the river right now.
It is, and it's what they are going to have to play defense around. T-Tizzle clearing out the vision in the bottom side river. Make sure that they are going to be ready and rearing to battle for this dragon in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Grouping up now on the bottom side, both teams. Chorps going to be fishing around with that Nature's Grasp. But Pico ready to face check. Shin Shin goes in for the engage, gets the knockup onto 2 key targets, but the damage just isn't there. Motella's has got a absolute monopoly on dealing out that damage. Motella's going to be able to rip through 2 members. Antel's going to be the next one, and Sat rather, as they are moving on forward onto Slurps. He's going to be the next target. Double kill already through for Motella's. And another fight win for ISU.
3 for O in ISU's favor. They get the initial jump there. There is the flash, but Lamb's Respite is on up here.
Follow up, good damage coming on through from Trophy Troop. They do manage to get one of those shutdowns, kiting down towards Motelis, and Motelis still has the Feather Fall, gonna be able to pick up a shutdown for themselves onto that Jackson, maintain the one that they've got sitting on their own head.
Yep. Kind of funny to say that Trophy Troop has a shutdown since they are Team 5. However, they did just recently only get those 2 kills, so there's that. Tortwig, though, more than happy to use this opportunity to split push in the top side. Gonna be able to snag this turret on up. Easy peasy. Just shimmy on out of here.
Absolutely, and Tortwig doing the Fiora things in the side lane, living their best life, clearing out turrets, winning out on one-on-ones, and they've had to rotate Ansat up there, who's much stronger than Trophy Troop at this point, but still probably not in win one-on-ones up against Tortwig territory.
Yeah, and Tortwig gonna be a pretty damn huge issue here. Already is an issue, but it's not gonna get any easier here. They have 2 items completed here. One of the first people in this game to hit that 2-item spike. Only 3 people now on that fatal 2-item spike right now. Dragon already started up here by UBC. It would be their second of the game. Rally has popped. Quickness popped. It is going to lock up this Kindred. Lamb's Respite not available.
Yeah, Riddy's going down for sure. Ansat, the one who claims that kill. They're going to keep funneling this Silas as a pause comes on across.
Yeah, we'll see where this pause ends up, but...
Oh, we're back.
Alrighty, we are Barak. We are so Barak.
Yeah, let's just
There
a quick
should be-
little pause. Here's the pause after the pause.
Thank you, Riot.
That's a new feature introduced in Season 12, I believe. We're still riding that one out in Season 13. Maybe it gets removed for 14. We could get excited.
Thing is, they still haven't properly implemented the scoreboard for
the new dragons?
Tech and Hextech dragons.
True. Maybe that comes in 2014 too. Maybe 2014 is the year of the revamped Spectate client. As in,
maybe I just make a Reddit post and outline a bunch of issues with the Spectator client and post on /r/League of Legends. See if a writer notices.
Yeah. All right. Game's truly unpaused now, and Pico's caught out. Does get to throw down the ultimate in time, but there's going to be 5 members on top of him when he comes out. Ansat gets that kill as well. It's now a 3 versus 5, and Nature's Grasp is looking to guarantee the fight goes on. T-Tizzle getting a drop to Chorps. More and more getting picked up by UBC. They're going to get themselves their second dragon and objective bounty to boot. And they are not out of this game just yet, Goferino. They might find Tortwig as well. Stepping into the bush, Shinshin finds him. Tortwig launching themselves out of there, find themselves face-to-face with Slurps. Still trying to dash their way through. Nice block on the riposte over the wall with Shinshin. This is not a damage-dealing champ. So Tortwig's got some room to breathe, but Shinshin gonna keep on chasing. Trophy Troop is coming through with the cutoff. He just takes the one-on-one and forces Shinshin right out of there, dashing back away, but Torps is there for the follow-up. The stopwatch is blown. So much time being bought by Tortwig, but can anything be done by it for ISU on the other side of the map? It looks like not. They're just coming out of the respawn, and finally the shutdown is picked up for UBC.
Another big shutdown picked up here. I didn't see that shutdown actually pop up, but I guess it's a farming shutdown there, because Tortwig hadn't picked up any kills since their last stuff. Ooh, you're in some danger here. Torps.
The counter face check. Ready, finding Chorps, dancing forward. Here comes the engage from Ansat, and they manage to just barely throw down Lamb's Respite in time. Now here's Pico for the follow-up. Look at Ansat. He's got to be the target. He's got all of the gold. The group going to be able to finish off a kill. There's going to be another one for Slurps. ISU have overstepped again, and Motelis is going to pay the price. Shutdown picked up for Ansat, and UBC, with the kill lead in the game, are going to move on to the Baron as another pause hits us.
Yep, Motelis did DC there, so I'm guessing that has something to do with it here, but UBC got that dog in them, and they've clawed back once again. Now only 2K separating these two teams once again, and I can imagine once this Baron drops, that's going to be negligible.
Yeah, another fight forced to be had without the 5-2 Fiora, without the 10-2 Zaya. A disconnect on the Zaya very likely going to be responsible for some of that, but not all of it. I mean, the fight gets started with Zaya a pretty sizable distance even away. And it makes it really tough to play out the rest of the fight from there. They are already down a couple of members. Pico gets in there with the Lissandra ultimate, but you need that to be paired up with the feathers. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to finish anybody off.
Yeah, because they looked really good for ISU at the start. They're like, you catch Shorps in their own jungle with their pants down, you nearly kill that Maokai, but the Lens Respite keeps them alive here because you also got to keep your jungler alive, sadly, and it does not work out in the end. You give up 2 big kills there, and it's like you're giving up the Baron as well, and also ceding over control in this game, it feels like.
Yeah, the addition of the Baron is very likely going to mean that the gold's going to be even once this is all said and done. We're going to be pretty much back on exactly even territory as soon as this Baron goes down, plus the addition of the Baron buff over to UBC. So probably a little bit of a fight back angle now for ISU. They've lost a lot of the lead that they had built up for themselves over the course of the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, because twice there was objective bounties available for UBC to claim. I think both the dragons they grabbed were actually objective bounties, so they got the bonus gold there. And because there was a 6k gold differential there before that dragon fight for ISU, and now it's down to a little under a 2k gold differential. Yikes.
Yikes, indeed. A lot to think about here if you're ISU. I mean, surely the connection issues have some to do with it, but definitely some undisciplined play coming through in the last couple of minutes that have ended up costing them a lot of this lead and might give UBC a bit of an angle back into this one. And I mean, this is something we saw out of ISU last week as well. Recall that Gravity had not won a game coming into their matchup up against ISU, won their first game of the Risen Champions League up against ISU due to just furthermore some sloppy plays, especially in the early game, giving over a lot to that Gravity squad.
Yeah, and this time around, I mean, ISU, they got a really huge early lead here, like we're talking about. After that really disastrous level 1, like, there's a reason why UBC collected objective points on 2 separate occasions there, but UBC keeping their heads in it here, Gordo, just getting the picks, getting the 1v1s that they want, and getting the objectives afterwards.
Absolutely. Objective bounties, a hell of a drug, get you a lot back into the game as alongside those champion shutdowns. Quite a few of them now picked up, right? 2 of them up against the Fiora, now 2 of them up against the Xayah. Big cash outs to be found there for the UBC squad, and most of them going over to Onset, who's been very, very good on this Silas. I mean, even in the early game when everything was going ISU's way, Onset has been able to keep themselves very well in this game. They've been able to take out some solo kills. They have avoided excessive deaths. They've kept their farm up, and now they're really cashing out as a pretty powerful Silas in this mid game where only the Xayah is really a threat to them. They are far too healthy, far too sustain heavy for something like Pico's Lissandra to be a substantial threat to them.
Yeah, or they're still scaling Kindred here for Riddy in the jungle. I haven't seen the stack count, but I have heard some Summoner's Rift sounds, so we might be unpausing soon. No ETA just quite yet.
Okay, cool. We are unpaused. We're just waiting for the second pause, the Riot pause.
Thank you, Riot. What would we do without your very beautifully coded game?
That's good stuff, though. That means we're not going to a real pause. That means we're not going to break screen or anything due to a indefinite wait. We are back onto the Rift here. Starting up the Baron buff. Everybody on ISU is dead. Take it away, Gopherino. This is your time to shine, my friend.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much analysis here for how this Baron's going down. We got 4 members here. There's a Jax, there's an Ezreal. This Baron at a very decent speed. Tortwig gonna shimmy on in, not be able to get anything for their troubles here, except a sapling to the face. And now we got all the buffs on the side of UBC. The gold differential right now, 500 gold. That's basically literally nothing, and it should be UBC favored after this Baron buff ends, assuming they get what they want.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, for at least a couple of minutes, it is nothing, right? The Baron buff, it has gold value within it, intrinsically. It gives you AP and AD, gives you pushing power, something that can't really be quantified in gold, but if it were on an item, you would buy it. Used to even be on an item, kinda. We all remember old Banner of Command.
Yeah, I kind of miss it. And then Ride over buffed it, and then literally everyone in Pro took it. I'm like, damn. Because I was the person as support who would always build Banner of Command and ZZ Rot and low elo, and then just have that AFK push a side lane.
Definitely.
Now we
Now,
got Fort Elveth.
let's look at how this affects our side lane matchup here. It's 2 items apiece now for Trophy Troop and Turtwig. And Turtwig is kind of itemized in such a way that it's not really maximized for one-on-one dueling, right? They've got the Gore Drinker. They've got that Hydra. And it's not quite the same as Spear Shojin plus Divine Sunderer, is it?
Oh, Motel's got to be so careful here. So I'm going to save this turret for now by taking down that cannon minion. Oh, and the reverse a little too early, but Trophy Troop does not have another follow-up leap strike there. First turret of the Baron buff will be claimed here, and UBC going to be looking to get even more here with the duration of this Baron buff left on them. Got about 40% left over. Good news for ISU is that since you had all your outer turrets still available, those outer turrets not worth a ton of gold, relatively speaking, and would have likely fallen anyways. So this isn't the most devastating Baron buff, but if UBC is able to crack open some inner turrets with this, that is going to be very nice.
It absolutely will be. They would want to secure some more of those, get themselves a little bit more map pressure, make up for the inner, especially the one that they've lost up on the top side that's really letting Tortwig take advantage of this long lane. Could make a little long lane for themselves here, especially would like to open up the mid lane a little bit more if they find an angle to do so. Tortwig just continuing to show these trading patterns of Trophy Troop and just doesn't have the lead that they once had, and maybe getting a little hungry for it. Ansat stepping forward, looking for a little bit of an engage on towards this Fiora, but not going to be able to get too much. Tortwig, though, low on HP, cannot take this as a 2-on-1. They're going to have to give up this turret. Can ISU even do anything about this, right? This is not what their role in the team comp fight is. They expect that they're going to be the ones taking advantage of these side lanes, but pushed back Tortwig, and the rest of the team just not ready to capitalize. They're 4v3 on this side of the map, but they're just not in position to do anything.
Yeah, Baron buff has expired here. So 3 turrets were taken, but it's all outer turrets by UBC, and when it ends, it's them with the couple hundred gold in the lead. So both these teams neck and neck going into this next dragon fight. Would be salt point here for UBC, and would be the tie point here for ISU if they do grab it. A little bit of a flank being set up potentially here as the dragon has been started.
Yep, they see Trophy Troop up on the top side. They know this is a true 4-on-4, and Motelis still incredibly strong on this Xayah. ISU feels strong to take this. Here comes the Nature's Grasp, but steal found for Chorps, who gets away with the soul teleport now being channeled for Tortwig, but they're so far away. UBC have gotten out of this one already. ISU having to hard force chase through the mid lane. Shurelias will give them the rest of the movement speed they need. UBC, they snag it away and they're out of there.
Chorps hits that gritty on Riddy and steals away the soul point here. Doesn't even die for it in the end. Scot-free, unless you want to count that flash, which definitely will matter here, but you'll take that for that soul point here. That's going to give you so much leverage in this game around the next dragon. When Baron is also up, and you can just force the catch-22 of, do you want to give up the soul, or do you want to give us the Baron?
That's the question. We're going to have to figure that one out. ISU really wishing they had been able to secure that smite there. Huge play by Chorps to just step up and take it away single-handedly, let alone the getting out alive part. Ends up with ISU now running out of options, not as strong in the side lane as they once were. Very close in itemization, in fact, after all the shutdowns are factored in. And just not having the success in the 4-on-4 either. They didn't manage to force a good fight there from T-Tizzle.
Yeah, I mean, because T-Tizzle had the lockdown there, but uses the depth charge, and that's enough time for Chorps to flash on out. That is one of the things with Nautilus support. The depth charge is telegraphed. It does give enemies time to flash out of its range, shift on out, run away from it. And that's exactly what we see there. Of course, not the end of the world here for ISU. Things are still basically dead even for this point in the game. But this Jax has become a scary menace in their own right, because you kind of need the Fior from Tortwig into that Jax right now.
Definitely. Slurps and Shinshin. Shinshin coming on in for the engage. Gonna lock down onto Riddy. Already started onto T-Tizzle as well. The depth charge comes on out, but there's no capitalization. Trophy Troop throws themselves in for a 3-man counter strike. Multiple kills for UBC already. Shinshin looking for another stun. Not going to find it. Gonna get taken down instead. But Tortwig and Nortellis, they have to fight this one out. A double kill for Slurps as Mortellus is dropped. Tortwig, the last damage dealer, as Pico falls as well. And Tortwig with nothing left to find. UBC, they take the fight 4-for-1.
UBC, and they're going to be getting another Baron here, Gordo. You lose one member for Foreign Baron. That is just such a huge trade deal that you'll take in. I think, honestly, with this Baron take, it'll be ISU that'll have the objective bounties available on the map to them. Funnily enough, even though they're the ones having to defend them twice already this game, but how the tables have turned.
Tortwig throwing down the grand challenge, wants to fight up against Slurp, splashing in, looking for the one-on-one, gets it with the shutdown goal, but Ansat is going to equalize on the other side on a rampage now. 7-1-6 on the Silas.
Yep. You will definitely take that here as ISU, because it does take one Baron buff off the map. You also get a shutdown for your troubles. It does take away your biggest side lane threat and your biggest side lane threat right now off the map. It would be very clutch for dealing with this Baron buff, because the Trophy Troops Jack still is Baron buff, is still going to be pushing here. See if Tortwig gets there in time, but I'll hold that thought. Motel's in danger, dodges the quickness.
Nice interrupt there from T-Tizzle. Isn't enough for Mortellus to get out alive, though. The stolen away depth charge is enough for Ansat. T-Tizzle gonna fall as well. Double kill coming through for Ansat. UBC, the Thunderbirds, running through this ISU squad, fully online in the game. It looked shaky early on, but they are taking everything for themselves now.
And there's the objective bounties notification. The base is under siege here by UBC. Don't have all the hands on deck, and we have less than a minute until this next dragon, so might as well gear up so you can soul on up here. Not to be confused with the Soul Fighter event this year.
Ansat cycling his ultimate there. Just throws down the Lamb's Respite to make sure he's going to have it available to snag something else in this upcoming dragon fight. Like the heads-up decision-making there, as this could potentially be Mountain Soul for UBC, and could be that additional straw that breaks the camel's back, as ISU looking to regroup and keep that camel strong.
There's
the engage. Shinshin's pressing the Shirelia's button, diving in. T-Tizzle, they'll take anybody they can find. Motellus falling very low, has to go into the Feather Storm, gets taken down by True Shot Barrage from Slurps. Slurps untouched in the back line, raining through the damage. Triple kill already. Tortwig burning down to the red buff, will survive, but the team will not. Tortwig with nowhere left to go. Ansat hunting him down over the wall. Ansat finds the ace. Emotes coming through, and UBC in a big comeback are going to take themselves game number 1. ISU on the back foot.
ISU down in this series. Ah, Shinshin. That would have been such a great way to end off the game on. But can end the game on a little bit of sour note. Nexus falls 31-20. You don't even need the Dragon Soul to complete this. And you end the game with a dominating 10k gold lead after what was a rather sussy early to mid game.
And Ansat, the substitute mid laner for UBC Premier, showing up in his first Risen Champs League game. A dominant performance, taking down Pico in the one-on-one repeatedly, and being a massive carry force that brings them back into this game.
Yeah, like you can see the gold graph here. It was all ISU up until that 24-minute mark, around the time of that second Baron take, and after that, things just crept further and further in favor of UBC. Goddamn.
Goddamn indeed. Well, 10k gold swing. With the addition of that an 18k gold swing, I guess you would call it, from around 21-ish minutes to the game ending in 30. ISU, I mean, you kind of just have to shake that one off. There's definitely some undisciplined play that threw over some of the lead, to take it from maybe that first chunk between 21 and 22-ish minutes. But we also know Motelis was dealing with some connection issues with how much of the gold was on them. That's unfortunate as well. You got to be able to just shake that off and come into game number 2 now.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't the disconnect issues holding Motil's back there, because that would be an awful way to end up losing a game in this series, or potentially the entire series if those issues persist here. But we'll have to see once we get into next game here, because ISU will have to rally back if they want to keep their hopes for this series alive.
They absolutely will. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while they get some time, analyze the game, figure out what their plan is coming into draft number 2, and then we'll be back with that draft number 2. But just give it a couple of seconds until we get on over there. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everybody. We are back with the Risen Champions League, and we are coming into game number 2 between Iowa State University and University of British Columbia. Looking like we have a little bit of a roster change for UBC coming into game number 2. Ansat moving up to the top lane, Trophy Troop exiting, and Normal Friend coming into mid lane. So making some swaps here despite their win in game number 1. Wonder what exactly is driving that one, if they just want to give some other players some opportunities. Somebody's gotten maybe some other obligations and not able to play. We're not sure, but regardless, that will be the allocation coming into game number 2.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some players weren't available all night. Who knows? Maybe they just wanted to do some swaps. Who knows? But we should be starting this champion select up in just a minute. It will be a big deal, though, considering topside Torchwick had the advantage. And we'll see if that changes this game with Anzol in the top lane, who had a pretty good Silas game last time around.
Absolutely. Now, ready coming on through here for both teams. Should be getting into this draft before too long. Interested to see how that's going to change things up, especially when they don't have Trophy Troop in the top lane. Been a big force for them over the course of their season so far. Now Trophy Troop not going to be available. Oh, going to be Onset playing top lane for them. Not exactly sure what Onset's top lane pool looks like, but they looked very good in game number 1. So hoping to repeat that performance now facing off against Tortwig.
Thankfully for Anzol, there are a bunch of mid lane champions you can flex to the top. We've even seen Silas top in the past, so completely unheard of. Got some new faces on the board here, though, considering there are some new players, some new swaps here on the side of UBC, so nothing too surprising there. On the other side, though, UBC kind of sticking to their guns here with that Nico ban, with the Gangplank ban. I can't quite remember what it was last time. Actually, let me quickly still got the draft a little up. It was the Belveth. Alright, it was the Belveth.
Absolutely. The Maokai going to be locked in up on the top side. Now, we'll see if ISU are going to be moving that one over to jungle. They surely will be. So that's where the pick mainly gets focused 99% of the time, and that's where we saw it end up coming on through for UBC in game number 1. Now, see what their response is going to end up being here. Looking like that's going to be a selection for Riddy, though. Thresh, the lock-in for UBC. This has been banned up against Shinshin quite a few times throughout this season. Now they're going to get their hands on it here for, I think, the first time. Yeah, this is going to be their first game that they've actually gotten to play the Thresh, despite drawing a few bans.
And it's going to be the first pick, too, so putting a lot of priority onto it. Pretty strong champion, all things considered. We'll see what's locked in with it. I'd be surprised if he... Okay, the Azir. So very safe and very heavy scaling mid laner. Does open up to some counter picks, though, since it is a little early in the draft. Granted, Azir counter picks are a little bit more on the fringe side of the meta. You don't really see as many Vigars or things like the Xerath coming out, but we'll keep our eyes out to see if one of those counter picks does come through. The Rel that was banned away last time, though, being hovered, works well into the Thresh to a decent extent. You just got to be careful of the play whenever you Ferromancy on it.
Definitely here, and now going to be another selection of the Rel that's gotten banned against ISU quite a bit this season. T-Tizzle, been a very dangerous Rel player. Whenever they've been able to get it, was crucial in their win over the Costa Gamers squad. They're going to take that Zaya as well. So Motelis feeling very good pairing up with T-Tizzle on these two champs. Arguably their favorites on each side. And with no bans being directed towards the bot lane, it's what they're going to lock in. Potentially going to be facing off against another very safe duo for UBC. The Thresh Zeri, the mobility there is just going to be nuts. Same flavor as that Rakan Ezreal that we saw last game, but the Ashe is available, and it will be locked in.
Yep, back on Ashe duty here. Will be a lot of utility coming out of the bot lane, a lot of pick potential, because If you land Enchanted Crystal Air on someone and that Thresh is within shouting distance, then Shinshin can just look for a very easy death sentence there into a play and set up another member of the team here. You do have a Zero in the mid lane, so it's not like this Ashe lacking a little bit of damage is going to be a huge deal because you have such a DPS threat in the mid lane here.
Definitely the Fiora and the Cassante bans on either side still going to be focusing in on towards Tortwig's champion pool regardless. Gragas now the lock-in, or the locked-in ban, rather, for UBC, looking to just keep off of Tortwig's preferred champs, the Gangplank ban, the Fiora ban, and the Gragas ban, all directed towards them, just trying to guarantee that Onset, presumably off-rolling, is going to have the easiest time possible. I actually don't know what Onset's main role is, but this is the assumption.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they might be a flex player, you know, might be an even 50-50 split between mid and top. Could be a fill player, just play whatever the team needs. Who knows? Being a fill player as sub is kind of pretty nice for the team. Then it's like, oh, we're missing our top laner, I can fill. We're missing our jungler, I can do that for every other position here. But let's see what the R4 is here. I'm feeling like it's going to be the jungle because you already know the enemy jungler is more than certainly going to be that Maokai unless we see some shenanigans like the Maokai top with the Rel jungle, which is definitely possible. Just haven't been seeing as much of that Rel jungle recently after the nerfs. But Lily being hovered and actually locked in here, so that's an interesting pick here. It is a very high momentum jungler, I want to say, because you kind of just mow through camps and you kind of just run across the entire map. It's just a matter of how many great sleep plays can you set up here with that Lipton Lullaby.
For sure. UBC now going to be taking kind of the non-conventional jungle route. Sejuani banned away. Jarvan appears to have dropped off of these teams' radars, so they are going to go in for the Maokai v Carry matchup, switching that up this time around as ISU locking in the Kassadin for a normal friend coming on in. ISU is still running Pico. It's going to be Pico on the Kassadin, showing us yet another champion. This guy plays so much stuff.
Yeah. Kassadin to Azir, I'm not entirely sure how that matchup goes. Obviously, you have the passive, which lets you soak up a lot of the magic damage here, but Azir just has so much safety against you, unlike more traditional mages who, you know, don't have a dash, don't have their ultimate, which is a giant knockback. The Yone locked in as well, though, here for ISU. So you have this kind of double assassin, double fighter dive combo here. Pair with the Maokai, pair with the Rel, and you have a Zai in the backline who does have that Featherstorm to stay very safe, but ISU's comp is definitely going all in here.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I now feel a little bit more confident saying that Onset is very likely. Oh wait, no, I'm just confusing which team is which because they side swapped. I gotta fix my sheet here, but it's Tortwig busting out the Yone top. He's showing us a new pick as well. This guy will do anything but play a tank in these matchups. Forced to blind, still going in for this Yone. Gonna be facing off against the Renekton as the selection for Onset. Feels like, hey, if you're an off-roll mid laner coming into my top lane, I'm gonna give you what for on this Yone, and feels like he's gonna be able to snowball to victory off of that one.
We'll see though, because it is into the Renekton. The Renekton has a typical favored matchup into the Wind Brothers because they have to get up in your face and they're relatively squishy early on. And if you're able to just get that fatty stun on them and get your full combo on off, that is a huge chunk off their health bar. Granted, Dione a little bit bulkier compared to his brother here, so might do a little bit better into that Renekton. We'll definitely have to see, especially since it is Adele's, or Arede's, or I forgot their name, in the top lane here as their Renekton, you know,
Onset.
Substitute.
Onset coming into the top lane for the side of UBC, making yet another substitution here in this game number 2, and they end up on the Renekton and the Azir, so certainly feeling comfortable with that to some degree or another. We're going to be getting into the in-client draft here in just a few short moments. I feel like this is definitely a little bit of a different look, especially out of the jungle, right? This time around, ISU are the ones who end up with the Maokai. UBC end up with the, as you said, momentum-focused, carry-style jungler who really wants to snowball in this early game. ISU, despite how well they were able to do early, it didn't really feel like they snowballed the Kindred that hard. A lot of the kills ended up on their Xayah. Maybe going to be changing that up here for UBC as they look to give it over to Chorps.
And it's kind of a weird thing to say because putting kills on his eye, putting kills on a
Oh,
field
zeros
are,
in.
great things to have in all honesty, but just didn't really pan out in the end there. UBC able to get a lot of really great clutch picks there while some of the ultimates were down, whether it's the Featherstorm, whether it is that Lamb's Respite, and then just go to town here. Of course, this is some pretty radically different showing on both sides here, like we mentioned. In the jungle, but also in all the other lanes, because I don't think there's any repeat picks here, except for the Maokai and the Zion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and some new news here. Seeing the names down right below us over here is Zero's in. So going to be Riddy back onto the bench. The intended starter Zero coming back in for ISU. Try to turn around what was an unfortunate game number one for them. So roster changes on both sides. But whereas ISU are returning to their general starting roster that they play week in and week out, UBC is getting stranger.
Yeah, it's a bit of a revolving door of a roster here. It feels like, oh, am I in this lane this game or am I in that lane? Who knows? So where it stops, nobody knows. But what we do know is where the champions are all going right now. Like I kind of mentioned last game, there isn't really too much of a surprise where they are all up here. Biggest question is for ISU with the swap back to zero, their main here with this much more unga bunga and engage centric composition. Will they be able to get that lead and keep it this time? Or will UBC be able to close it out in a 2-0 fashion? Is my big question.
Absolutely, and Onset has played top lane for the side of UBC before. That was in their week one matchup up against Gentle Hearts. Played top lane both games there when Trophy Troop was not available. They did lose both of those games. It was against Gentle Hearts, though, who are one of the higher rated teams in this group. ISU Varsity have not played them yet, but they will be underdogs in that matchup next week. I promise you that fact. Gentle Hearts, it's got quite a few amateur mainstays in their roster, playing in the NACLQ level and such, playing over in ACL as well. Definitely a dangerous team to come up against, and Onset definitely having a bit of a tough time facing off against their top laner, Diesel. See how he's going to be able to do here up against Tortwig.
And he's a familiar name. I really remember them from NACL here. I've been keeping up with NACL Fest. That's a little hard when you also watch LEC and LCS, and now World is coming up. It's always a revolving door of what the format
Other
is.
regions out of your life, go for Reno. I encourage you and everybody else, just go all in on NA. Watch all 3 levels of NA. There's NA on like 6 days a week. It's
Dude, I watch all 3 levels of NA: Risen Divine, Risen Champs, and LCS.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, no, definitely. And fully engage
Yeah.
yourself in NA League of Legends. You'll become very familiar with these players very fast. And
Yeah.
yeah, definitely excited to see that Gentle Hearts gaming roster as we start to get into playoffs. Not to take us too off topic between these two teams, as these two teams are fighting for a spot in the playoffs, presumably with teams like Gentle Hearts and some of those
Yeah.
top echelon teams that we are fully anticipating to be present in the later stages of playoffs. As we're going to take a look at the runes and masteries coming on through, or just the runes, as masteries are a leftover from a bygone era. Yone coming in with the lethal tempo, Renekton taking that Conqueror, also taking the Demolish, so anticipating that they are going to be able to take some control in this top lane and push themselves an early advantage in gold for the side of Onset.
It is kind of funny though, because in the old system, like the runes we have now were basically what masteries were. Because runes were just literally flat stats you had. You had to buy them all for IP. I had like 9 pages. I still have.
Pour one out for runes back in the day. The flat stat runes. Yeah, they used to sell discounted quintessences for holidays. If you remember that, I had some candy cane movement speed quints.
Yeah, or if you had the 2 basic rune pages and you didn't want to pay for another one, you just had one that's 80 armor and MR, and then one that's AP armor MR.
I had like 9 of those things. I bought a lot of rune pages.
I had like 11 maybe? 9 or 11.
Something like that. There's definitely a lot of them. There's reason to have a lot of them for certain.
Yeah.
Now
it's pointless.
It is.
I mean, it's still handy. I mean, I have a rune page for EDC. Well, each ADC. There's ADC yellow blue, ADC yellow red, ADC yellow green, yada yada yada. All those combos. So.
Yeah, I've been thinking I should maybe just abandon. Like, I have like 12 different rune pages or whatever for different stuff, but I feel like it just makes me complacent. I should just set my runes every single time, and then I'll stop accidentally. I'll stop loading into game and being like, oh, I took magic resist in this matchup, or oh, I should have taken bone plating instead of revitalize and stuff like that, or second wind rather.
Yeah.
I feel like I make that mistake constantly. Maybe I should just stop having preset rune pages and build them
Cat has
myself
all the
each and every
runes.
time like an adult.
Ow. Or all the rune pages. I'm not sure what Caddy means by that.
Wait,
Caddy says they had
you had
all.
all. Oh yeah, like I mean, it maxed out. You could only have like 20.
Oh, rune pages. Yeah, you could have up to 20 of those suckers.
Yeah,
I got
that's where it
five.
caps. That's still where it caps, I think. I don't think you can buy more than 20. You should really.
You can still buy rune pages.
You can, yeah, if you want them. I mean,
it's pointless. I don't know why they have it there still. But
do they still cost do they still cost blue essence? I almost said IP. They still cost blue essence. I need something to sink my blue essence into.
Oh, yeah, I had like well over 200k blue essence, and then the essence Emporium came out, so it dropped like about 70k ish, or no, 100k ish. That's just some crumbs and all the new icons. But as you guys can tell by our bit of tangent here, there wasn't too much fascinating with the runes, so to speak, when we saw them coming across the screen. Like, it's kind of what you were expecting out of all these champs, and you know,
definitely.
terms.
Just gonna be looking towards the scaling here for ISU Varsity. What are they gonna be able to do to get themselves through the early game hump? Are they gonna be able to focus towards bot lane, set up Motellas for success again, maybe try to get Tortwig an advantage over Onsat and get that Yone snowballing? It's hard to tell, but Pico is definitely going to need some time to become a champion. Level 17 Kassadin, 16 Kassadin, still the meme that he's always been, but takes a while to get there. Not as long as it takes us to get onto the Rift, as we are ready for game number 2. Let's take us in, Caddy, as ISU Varsity taking on UBC Premier. UBC looking for a 2-0 win on the night.
Hey, there we are. Back on the Gamers Rift.
Ooh. Absolutely. We are moving on towards that early game spread once again. Not looking like anybody's going to go for anything too cute, at least prior to the minute 30 mark. ISU did that delayed invade in game number 1. Ended up netting them pretty solid early lead. See if that's going to be repeated this time around.
Yeah. All is calm on the Western Front this game, although that was a bit of an ironic title considering things were not calm on the Western Front. According to the book and the movie at least, but no real shenanigans here, no real repeats, even though there are some potential for shenanigans here on both sides. Not going to be very standard starts here, with the junglers potentially starting in the top side. No, we see Charps pathing on down towards bot here, so going to be a mirrored start, I guess.
Very likely. Maybe a move towards the top side for Chorps to make sure Ansat is having a grand old time in the top lane, and Motellas and T-Tizzle definitely going to be the focus here for ISU. Motellas able to build up a big lead in game number 1, but not quite able to convert it into a win. If they're going to be able to have better luck with that this time around. Pico going to have to play a melee into Azir, and a very weak early game melee at that, so might have some struggles against normal friend in the early game. Pay close attention to how that matchup goes.
Yeah, we'll be keeping our eyes in the sky on that, or keeping at Caddy's eyes on that, since we're just keeping our eyes on the stream from Caddy.
As always, Caddy on production, making sure that we don't miss anything. And there's Pico, losing quite a bit of HP early on. Level 2 hit first by normal friend, but level 2 hit first by Motellas and T-Tizzle at the same time. So they're going to push Shin backwards. Here comes a big root, followed up with the crash down. Shin forced to flash away in response to the ignite. That's a win for ISU early on, but Slurps still looking to keep that fight going. Trades a fair bit of damage back onto Motellas. Now T-Tizzle going to be the next target. Feather pull again, punishing Shin, who finally ticks over to level 2. Low HP bars across the board, though.
Yeah, and it's going to be just that ignite for the flash here in the bot lane for now. See if that becomes an issue later on here for Shin, because The Thresh, not very safe when the flash is down. You know, you're not the tankiest of supports, so if you get jumped on and there's an ignite, you can get cut.
Absolutely. UBC. Nice performance in the top lane from Onset so far, getting the damage onto Tortwig the way that you would hope he would. Is Zero, new to the series, but the normal starter for ISU, finishing off his full clear and looking for an opportunity to pay a visit towards bot lane or just move on up for that bottom side scuttle. Should be an easy trade of the scuttles 1-for-1 unless anybody goes for something crazy. Hook from Shinshin. A clever move there. Nearly finding Motellus, but Motellus sidesteps it.
Yep, and despite all the feistiness on the Rift, the only real action was that level 2 all-in from the bot side and maybe a bit of an all-in from Onslaught in the top side. So what first blood happens, we got Torps in the top side and the flash does not connect. Okay, that connects, but no follow-up here. It is a pretty sick Solilia.
Indeed it is. Pico taking a fair bit of damage there in the mid lane as well, and Onset, the only one to use a resource there in that engage. As T-Tizzle following up. A nice playback from Shinshin, but here comes the flash engage from Zero, knocking Slurps back in. Oh. Flash taking that dark passage and getting out to safety. It costs every summoner spell in the arsenal, but UBC avoid getting first blooded.
Oh my god. Because keep in mind, Motel's flashed in for that and gets hit with that immediate play. And that just stops so much initial aggression coming out from this Xayah. Living by the edge here in the bot lane. Not the Slurps' fault though, they did get all in there once again, and there was a gank, but they get out to tell another tale.
For sure. Now another hook. Woo, just barely getting the recall off in time. ISU managed to stay alive. Could have been a disastrous one if that ended up connecting on to either of the bot laners. Now, without their summoners, but doing just fine in terms of CS and XP. Tortwig's up too far, takes a ton of damage. Manages to bait Onsat into the wrong direction. So is able to get out alive, but gonna have to take that recall.
Oh, yeah. Going to be wanting to recall here in a jiffy. Tortwig, gotta be careful, buddy.
Yeah, the dive coming through from Onset. Flash away from Tortwig, though. The clever play. And execute! Tortwig doesn't touch him!
Because Onslaught didn't have flash there from the earlier gang, so not able to immediately flash on top of Tortwig there. And Tortwig just running for their life, unable to even throw anything the way of Onslaught there. So in the end, I mean, technically you don't give over that first blood here, but you do give over some breathing room to Tortwig, who has been on the back foot once again in the early stage of this laning phase. But we'll see if it's like last lane where they were on the back foot, then a bit of a dive comes out and goes wrong for their opponent, and then they're able to start dominating the
lane. Yeah, definitely gonna want that one back is Onset. And definitely gonna want that one back is Tortwig as well. Just wishing he had channeled an auto or poked him with a Q so that he could actually be drinking in the first blood gold. That would be huge for Yone in this matchup as we're breaking out a fight in the bottom lane. The hunt for first blood continues. Shinshin very likely to be the candidate here. First blood picked up for Motellus as Chorps has arrived and is gonna try to turn this play back around. Gonna try to chase them down, already stacking up the movement speed with the Dream Lane Bow, but Motellus returns the damage, pulls back through the feathers, hunting down Chorps, taking him down. But Slurps is going to be able to trade it back here, and now has plenty of arrows to rain in to these two low HP melee targets. XRM0, nowhere left to go. One more W will do it for Slurps, but he gives it up. Turns on to T-Tizzle instead. Can't finish off that kill either. No. Pico now coming into the fray at a 3-level advantage. Pico could take this fight. Every combo coming on through. One more ultimate should be the end for Slurps, and Pico cleans up the kill. ISU 3-1.
And if you're Slurps there, you gotta be so tilted off of that. Hold that thought. That's an easy pickup in the top side onto Tortwig. No flash and dash on out this time, but Slurps was just so damn close to picking up any of those two kills there. T-Tizzle was super low. Zero was super low, but they were both just out of range, still had the threat of CC, and you're a level 4 Ashe, so it's not like you're bringing a lot of burst here. And it's not like that volley is up 24/7 like it is once you get some more ranks into it. And in the end, it's a big 3-for-1 in the bot side in the favor of ISU.
As far as I'm concerned at this point, the cooldown on volley is infinite. It took so long for Slurps to get that one back up. He just would have given up anything to get that W back, but Shinshin looking to keep the fight going. A nice flight onto 2. Keeps Motellus in the fray. There's going to be the Dark Passage back up. Beautifully played by Shinshin and Slurps for a big shutdown to Slurps. Tons of damage comes on through for between the duo and UBC. Clean that one up and take themselves the gold lead.
Yep, able to get something back in this bot lane after that, honestly feels bad, man, of a series of events there. Can give you pride over this dragon as well. You got your ADC, you got your jungler on that. I'll hold that thought because normal friend going to get the lantern on out. Dodge that twisted advance as well here. That dragon falling super low. Might not available for Torps, by the way, so you got to finish this quickly, and they are able to do that before the enemy's might comes on out.
Yeah, Shinshin looking real good on this thresh. Stepping up too far, though, is Slurps. He just gets one-shot by 4 members. The trade back comes through from Torps, though, as well as the rest of the squad. They're able to get 2 back on the other side. Normal friend cleaning up one of those kills. Flay back onto Torchwig. They're diving in. Zero cleans one up. Torchwig getting the credit for it. And it ends up a 2-for-2.
Yep. Able to get 1 extra kill there, and we're just dead even in this game. It's 5-5. 600 gold separating these 2 teams. And the only real noticeable difference is going to be that 1 Infernal Dragon right now. But all things considered, still anybody's game at this point. The real question is who of all these people with kills on them, with leads on them, is going to be able to make the most use out of it and really just bring home the dub here, bring home the big early lead to their team and break this game wide open.
And critical for Torchwig that he ends up picking up that second kill there. As you can see, the gold is slipping away from him on that top side. Onsat with some alone time in top and with the Demolish has cleaned up 3 turret plates and built up almost a 30 CS lead. That's a lot of money going into this Renekton, and you need to be able to keep pace with that somehow on the Yone to avoid just getting demolished in this one-on-one. Slurp's getting targeted again, has to flash away. With the addition of the slows, we'll even trade some damage back onto Motellus. Here's Onset showing that gold lead up against Pico. Pico might have bitten off more than he can chew here. Can't jump out in time. Onset with a solo kill. Shinshin getting focused in the bottom lane. Slurp's able to return some damage, though. T-Tizzle leads the dive. We'll have to crash down his way out of there, but Slurps is going to try to hunt him down. Knows that there's more members in the wings, though, and needs to back on away and make sure that they don't lose tons of turret plates and tons of minions.
Now that feels bad here for Slurp, some low health bars, but this still is an early game. Ash, you are still trying to scale up. You don't even have your first item. And a quick 1-0 on the bot side, although a quick 1-0 in the top side here. So 1-for-1 overall between these 2 teams. But a lot of plays going over to Onsat's Renekton. They had a pretty good game number 1 on Onsat Silas, and it looks like they are looking to repeat it here as this Renekton.
No, Pico going in a little aggressively. Chorps is on the other side. Shinshin is here as well. They're throwing down the Rift Herald. They want to at least make sure they're going to be able to clean up some turret plates. Normal friend has to back away, though, as Zero is coming, and they aren't 100% sure where the rest of the team is. Nice hook over the wall, though, from Shinshin. Zero, nowhere left to go but in. Dives in and drops for it. Slurps cleans up that kill. Normal friend can't find the Emperor's Divide onto T-Tizzle, who will be able to get out safely.
Still a 1-for-0, and you do get a couple of plates off that mid lane turret. I mean, this top turret under 1 plate, the mid turret under 1 plate as well, and Onslaught looking for a huge trade here. Great hook on the bot side, instantly cleansed.
Yeah, a little bit of bait there from Motellus, but Shinshin levels up in just the nick of time. Slurps is going to step forward to fire out a couple more arrows. I want to shout out Shinshin's Thresh here. It has been great. We haven't gotten to see it in the Risen Champs League yet. He's only drawn bans on it, but showing why those bans were necessary has really made some clean plays between the hooks and the dark passages. Oh, that's way too far up. Torchwig, soul unbounds in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and Ansett reaps the rewards.
Poor Torchwig. They have the flash, they have the Fate Seal here, but like you mentioned, they are going to use that E there a little bit in the wrong spot. And now it's a 3-1-0 Renekton in the top side, able to get that first turret as well. All 5 plates solo gold. So the Renekton is huge. first person on the Rift with a Mythic unless Torps finish their Leandries first. And they have the Caulfields to boot here, and the finish boots. Like, that's going to be such a pain to deal with going into this next Dragon. Like, how do you even contest that here as ISU? Because that's going to be hard.
Yeah, and the kills don't really show it, but between finishing off that turret, all the plates they've been able to gain in mid lane off the back of the Rift Herald, and just the way the gold allocations ended up, UBC are at a substantial gold lead. They're winning in CS in every lane, on top of just those 2 kills and the turrets. They're 4K gold ahead.
And this is kind of the position that they were in last game. Well, on the receiving end, I should say. They're down about 4.5K when turret plates fell. And now they're the ones up that much here. See if they're able to continue it on. See if ISU is able to channel a bit of that UBC magic from last game and start bringing a comeback here around in this mid game. Get some shutdowns that have been piling up. Get yourself some objectives to just rekindle the gold back in your favor. Hook does land here, but you got to see the gang coming on the other side.
Yeah, T-Tizzle just going to turn this one back around. Trust that the shield will be enough to keep him up, and he is right. Slurps goes down. Can't escape from the chain CC between the Rel and the Maokai. And now a numbers advantage over towards ISU right as the Dragon is coming up into their sights. Onsat, though, lurking in this tri-brush, a big threat. Here comes the depth charge, or much rather the little swing of the death sentence. Doesn't end up finding a target. They are going to be able to finish off the Dragon. Dominus in, and a one-shot onto T-Tizzle. Health was already so low. Motella's going to join. That's 2 more for the Croc. Ansett is a force to be reckoned with in this bot lane.
Yep. You got all this farm, you got 5 kills, now you're up 2 dragons, and this turret is looking right for the taking. The last outer turret here, and 4-0. Nothing you can do here.
Great call to give that to Chorps.
Lindsay, normal friend, come in there, try and get themselves an assist, or secure the kill.
Absolutely. Maybe you would have wanted it on normal friend. Chorps is fine as well. Maybe you don't need to give every single kill to the Recton, though. I respect that Onset pretty intentionally didn't take that one for himself. You want to spread the love around.
Yeah. That's something I can relate to when it comes to my ranked games, because everybody just wants to secure the kills for themselves, unless you're in comps. Then they're more willing to give over the kills. But that aside, such a dominant position here from UBC. The gold lead has grown even further. We're talking over a 6K gold differential. That's just kind of blowing it out of the park. Flash man gets stormed.
He's a nice engage angle, locking down Slurps, who will flash away. Shin can't quite block the Nature's Grasp, but doesn't need to. T-Tizzle now left all alone with 2 targets as Onsat is buying all the space in the world. Nobody can step past the top laner as Chorps goes on a killing spree. Arrow finds its way onto 0, and they'll blow up anybody it finds. Double kill to Chorps as the fight is getting taken by ISU anyway. There are 3 versus 5, looking for more. Knocked back into the team is Pico. A triple kill to Chorps as Tortwig and Motellas have to head for the hills. UBC are going to balloon this lead to unparalleled proportions.
And now it's just kind of UBC's game to lose here. One to prove us all wrong on the prediction desk. Although some might say that some members didn't exactly change their predictions from last week.
Look, it was funny when Slayer and Bonfire were having their predictions ruined, but now our predictions are getting ruined, Go Farino. It's not a laughing matter anymore.
Yes, sir. Teleport coming on out here. Tortwig already at half health coming on into this. You have the Kraken Slayer finished at least. Can you finish off this Crocodile? Great knock up.
He's going to get turned into boots here. He will drop. Shutdown picked up onto Tortwig. That's what you want, but they do lose their jungler on the other side, and that's pretty much going to be every hope of getting this Rift Herald going along with it. T-Tizzle hunting for the engage, though, coming in on the bottom side. Tortwig already very low. Do they really want to fight this? As Pico dashes back in, he's level 11. Okay. T-Tizzle finds the engage onto Chorp. They're going to try to blow up the deer, and they do it. Snagging away the Rift Herald while they're at it. Teleport back on in from Normal Friend. Flash away from Tortwig. Normal Friend's got to claim something back on the other side. Enchanted Crystal Arrow doesn't connect. Normal Friend, though, is able to clean one up. Pico gets knocked back into the team. He's running low on mana. Flashes on out, and it doesn't seem like he can cast his ultimate. He's too low on the resources. Finally gets one off, but is way too low to rejoin the fight. Or
Great
is he?
route.
Is he going to come back on over? Fires off the E, but is going to drop. The next target is Motellus. He gets taken down by Normal Friend. Normal Friend is staying alive. Dashing back in. Slurps has the arrows for the damage, and UBC still managed to win out in the end.
And ISU, that was such a huge play by them initially. You get the 1-for-1, you steal the Herald, so you get the objective bounty, and you're getting some kills in return, and so close in the end there, but at the end of the day, you are still very far behind, and that is going to affect your fights here. And we see it there. Not quite able to secure off those last few kills, not able to get a few more shutdowns in the pocket here. So if they're able to get those shutdowns there, if they're able to get that win here, Gordo, like, that puts them on such a better legging in this game. Yes, they would still be behind by a very decent amount, but it wouldn't be a massive blowout goal differential anymore. Tortwig in danger here, once again.
Absolutely. You're in danger anytime you're in lane with Onset at this stage of the game. He is absolutely massive with that Spear of Shojin completed. The old Renekton classic rearing its ugly head once again. And Tortwig, despite having cleaned up a few kills, he's down a whole item.
Yeah, able to claim a few kills. 2 of those were from the early mid lane play around that first dragon. And the last one was in that last fight where they got that huge shutdown that was on Onslaught. Still having to deal with the brute of this Croc.
Absolutely. Calling up Motellus. Calling up everybody, really. Onset about to get ganked by 4 members. Tortwig just trying to lock him down. Doesn't want to get traded back onto. Does manage to get out in time. Here comes the cavalry, and Motellus is going to try to clean this one up. The damage is so low. Onset flashes back in, gets a Gore Drinker. Here's the Call to Meek. It's not enough. He will drop down, but it's in trade for the dragon on the other side of the map.
Keep in mind, there wasn't a shutdown left because this Crocodile had already died. That's a great volley coming on through. Some more slows onto D-Tizzies. Maybe taking them on low, but oh my god, 3-level differential between these junglers. Like, Zero is not having a grand time.
0, 6, and 9. Not a nice score at all for Zeros. Gonna get pushed out of here. Normal Friend brawling up against Pico. Dive back in. Pico can win these, but not gonna this time. Pushed away by the Emperor's Divide as Normal Friend takes the one-on-one. Arrow coming into the bot lane to try to guarantee that it's Zer's safety, and there is nobody for miles around this Baron.
This should be a pretty easy pickup here. Zero only just respawning now. I don't think that Maokai, who finally completed their first item here 20.5 minutes in, will get here in time to contest. Turns out that is indeed factually true, has been fact-checked by True Patriots, and now once again the gold lead has ballooned even further. Tortwig in a rock and a hard place.
Yep, and he soul unbounds, and Onset has learned his lesson. He knows he's coming back here before too long. Motellus coming to try to back up his top laner. Teleport getting channeled by Pico. They're going to go all in on Onset, but Onset's already claimed one, and he will kill again. Moving forward onto Pico, but now he's left alone with 3 members. Goes into the stasis to buy a little bit more time, but nobody is coming to bail you out this time, Onset. Plenty of healing, but not enough. Goes down to Pico.
Yep, 2 for 1 overall, though, to secure that in the bot lane. It looks like Zero died in the top lane. We can see their corpse here, their carcass surrounding the turret. So you do get another Baron buff off the board here, but you're bleeding across the map for it. That Lilia able to get 600 solo gold here, has that fully stacked Mage Eyes, has the 3 full items at this point. Like, there's definitely the momentum right now behind Shorps, and they're making great use of it. 9-2. Christ.
Absolutely. Shorps has really managed to reap the rewards in a way that Zero, or who were they running last game? Riddy never actually got to. As the early lead, it was starting off onto Onset, but they've converted it and spread it around to the rest of the team, and that's what you want to do, especially when it's something like a Renekton that maybe won't scale as powerfully into the later game. Obviously, you know, you can't criticize the fact that Motellus was the one who got all the kills last game. That's probably the best place to put him, but it meant that once Motellus started slipping, there was just nothing that ISU could do to turn it back around. Now UBC, they're looking stalwart. Even if one goes down, they've got plenty of other rich members to pick up the slack.
Yep. Funnily enough, Torture with the second item hole breaker here, just kind of realizing like I'm gonna be having a rough time in this side lane here. Might as well just have a bunch of bonus stats here. Might as well be a threat here when it comes to taking down these turrets. Get some push advantage that way. I don't think they're gonna be winning the 1v1 against Hanzo anytime soon. But it'll definitely be a step in the right direction in terms of being able to 1v1.
Absolutely. T-Tizzle jumping over the wall. Nature's Grass coming through as well. Tortwig. We've seen this song and dance before, buddy. I don't think you're getting out of this one. Does dash back on through, but there's so much lockdown here. Has to flash away from the death sentence. Now here comes the cavalry. Onset's been here before too, and he knows he doesn't make it out of these. Doesn't have the Gore Drinker. Goes down before he can use it. Chorps has arrived to back up the rest of the team, and this damage is insane. Look at Chorps running through the team. Triple kill to the deer, and Pico is trying to hunt down Normal Friend on the other side. There's the Quadra for Chorps. Chorps wants the Penta, flashing in. It's stolen away. Normal Friend's Leandries denies the Penta kill, but Chorps will say you deserve the credit anyway.
That would have been the first Penta kill on Champs broadcast here in 3 years. Granted, we also haven't had Risen Champs in like 2.5 years, so not as impressive of a step, but still such a funny circumstance there for Normal Friend to secure the kill. Already seeing people in chat saying report is here.
It's not his fault. It was the Leandries. He didn't
Not
try
his
to
plan,
steal
his
it. He
plan.
was already dead.
Look, if you're playing with premates here and you're not fighting to steal your friend's Penta.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me
really
wrong. I would defend him if he had done it intentionally too, but he didn't do it intentionally.
That's what makes it so funny.
True. True.
Either way, though, it is still very squarely in the ball court of UBC here. ISU definitely have had some good plays here, you know. They're able to get a bunch of those Baron buffs on down. They were able to get some nice shutdowns, but in the end, it was a 5 for 3, I believe. And you do still lose more of your side of the map. Your base has been broken open. This Chemtech Soul is being taken right now here. And in all honesty, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. That's going to be Dragon Soul going over to Chorps and Co. And another hook is found on to T-Tizzle. Trying to force their way out of there. They will be able to stay alive this time, but UBC now with the Dragon Soul and complete control around the map. Pico has just finished his Rod of Ages, did it before the last fight, in fact, and therefore is about a level up on most of the map. Chorps is the exception, of course, because he's got a 5-level lead on his jungle opponent. But I don't know if level 16 Cassidy can save this game, Gopher, you know?
Yeah. Can't even walk into your own jungle, bruh. Like, this just feels so bad for Zero here, too, because it's like, you're super far behind as this jungler. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't farm your camps. You walk into your camps, you die, buddy.
Ooh, Nature's Grasp, gotta come on through. Chorps outruns the branches. Just gets on out of there. Now he's in 1 versus 4. Puts them all to sleep. Chorps wants the Penta again, but it's not gonna come through this time either, as plenty of his teammates are snagging away kills. Pico's gonna get chased down across the map. Still not level 16. We might not even get the level 16 Cassidon, as they're running out of teammates and they're running out of base structures. Mid lane inhibitor is going to drop the damage over time. Burns down Pico, even with the Roa healing. Tortwig is the last man standing, trying to stage a defense in front of his fountain, but there's 4 members there, and he's gonna be forced to blink into all of them. Gets the knock-up, dashes back. Ace comes through for Slurps, and University of British Columbia Premier. They were doubted by everyone on the desk, but they are gonna take this series as a clean 2-0.
Yep, wait.
There it goes.
Oh, doesn't even die to the base laser. Holy and damn, that was such a strong from UBC in the second game. Like, the first game was, you know, pretty ISU favored in the beginning, and then they had to rally back, and it was a very UBC favorite in the end there. But this time around, it's just all UBC favorite here the entire game. 15-35 on the scoreboard. Great googly moogly.
And neither one with the intended starting roster, by the way. Just swapping around players, swapping around roles, taking their mid laner from game 1, who wasn't even their starting mid laner, moving them over to top lane to bring in a 3rd mid laner. This team's got plenty of mid laners. That's one thing that we learned here tonight. The other thing that we learned is Yeah, they're willing to move and swap players at will and looking very good here while doing it up against probably their closest rated competition within the group.
And quite the showing indeed here. You just see on the gold graph there. You see on the damage graph. It's basically all red. You know, that was dominant to say the least. And it really all started around that 10-minute mark when the snowball really started cascading in some of those small skirmishes in those side lanes there. Just how big Onzot got on this Renekton.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that this one was a lot smoother of a gold graph than what we had in game number 1. No opportunities for a comeback given over to the side of ISU. A dominant showing in this game number 2 from the side of UBC Premier. This time with 2 subs, by the way. So, I mean, great stuff from them here. They really managed to just run away with it. They snowball their lanes that are ahead early on. They absorb the pressure in the lanes that aren't. Come up with a really clean win for it.
Yeah, and now that UBC is 3-1 and going into next week, that all but kind of locks off their spot in the playoffs here, especially with this showing tonight in a very strong 2-0. Yeah, I mean, they got to be feeling pretty damn happy here.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? So CCG Futures had to FF to UBC Premier, right? I'm not crazy on that, right? Yes. CCG Futures had to FF to UBC Premier, which means UBC Premier has the head-to-head. CCG Futures already beat Gentle Hearts Gaming, who already beat... Okay, so it might be a three-way tie at 4-1, but depending on how things shake out, I mean, UBC could get first seed out of this group, is what I'm getting at here, because they play Kosa Gamers Squad next week, who are 1-3, and lost to ISU a couple weeks ago. So, I mean, UBC, they kind of have a clean path to make it out of this group as first seed.
Yeah. Yeah, unless Kosa Gamers are able to rally behind, but, I mean, congrats again to UBC, because this was one of their closer competitions in the group, and they just kind of blew ISU straight out of the water, even with a couple of subs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great stuff for them. Very well earned. It's probably going to end up as a three-way tie at 4-1, where everybody's beaten. It's like a triangle, right? It's going to be a rock, paper, scissors situation. Yeah. Because, yeah, it's going to be... I mean, CCG's probably... Assuming CCG and Gentle Hearts win their matches, they'll all be 4-1. CCG will have lost to UBC. UBC will have lost to Gentle Hearts. Gentle Hearts will have lost to CCG. I don't actually know how our tiebreaker rules go from there. Is it game time? It's probably game record? And I don't know what... I'm not going to do that math live. I know better than to try to do that in front of all of you people. So... We'll find out. We'll come in more informed next week. I don't know what our featured match is going to be. Probably something from Group B. But that's something to keep your eyes on, as there may very well be an interesting tiebreaker situation in this group due to tonight's result.
Yeah, shouts to Gentle Hearts Gaming for the right here. Sadly, we are finishing up the stream, but we might have someone to send you on over.
We're talking about how you guys might have some competition for first seed out of this group in the form of UBC Premier, due to how some of the matchmaking has ended up, and that's certainly an interesting conundrum. We're going to have to find out how that works out next week.
Yep, next week, same time, barring any slight delays here. Same channel.
Absolutely. So yeah, come join us next week. We're probably going to feature something from Group B. We've been on Group A for a couple weeks in a row. No promises there, though. We'll see what gets picked. Until then, stay tuned to the Risen channel. Check out other streams coming through from Risen throughout the week. We got plenty of other leagues here. We got Divine League coming in tomorrow. But until then, thank you all for hanging out with us this evening, and we will see you next week at the latest. Thank you all for tuning on in, and for myself, Caddy, and Gopher Eno, it's been a fun time. We'll see you next time.